Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and let's talk about Fallout 76 after that very refreshing weekend. A developer who formerly worked on Fallout 76, Fallout 4, and Fallout New Vegas has commented on some of the criticisms surrounding Fallout 76's reveal. That developer goes by the name of Jon Burke. I've interacted with him a couple of times over the past few years between God of War and primarily Fallout 4 and its launch. He's a nice guy, and while you're not going to get any hidden info on Fallout 76, I think the Fallout community is going to get a well-needed perspective on someone who's worked on arguably the most controversial Fallout game, but also arguably the best Fallout game. I think a lot of what Jon has to say here deserves exposure, so that's why I'm here making a video on it, and let's get into it. The post starts off saying, "Not going to lie, I just want more Fallout. So much hate going on in Fallout. It makes me a little sad to see, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I honestly love every iteration of the game for different reasons. Just posting a few favorite memories of each. Disclaimer, I worked on New Vegas, 4, and 76. I do not work at Obsidian or Bethesda anymore. Here's his Twitter link in case you need proof of some identity." The reason he's clarifying that he doesn't work at either of these places is because I don't think he wants to come across as doing damage control for Bethesda, and he's actually perceiving this as a fan for the first time in many years. So naturally, with Jon in this Reddit thread, he went back and responded to some questions that he had received, and like I said, I think the perspective is fantastic. He's asked if he thinks some fans are overreacting without regarding the leaks, of course, to which Jon says, "This is what passionate fans do, right? I do not hold passion against anyone. Everyone is entitled to an opinion. I don't even get upset at someone that hates my games. I am always happy to read good criticism of my work. It is part of how I grow as a developer. The only thing that bothers me is when people become toxic toward each other or towards developers. Fastest way for a developer to ignore your input is to be a shit-flinging troll." And then following up, out of 10, how fun was Fallout 76 to develop? Best project to work on? And Jon says, "I haven't worked there for over a year now, so I can't really answer this in a meaningful way. The team is amazing though. I miss those guys/gals very much." I wholeheartedly agree on his opinion about passion in the Fallout community, and it's only natural to expect this because we have a series here that has been worked on by 3 different developers: Bethesda Game Studios, Black Isle, and Obsidian. I know Obsidian and Black Isle did share a lot of developers, but there was still a lot of new staff involved in that project. So with all these different hands being on the series, of course there's going to be different takes, there's going to be different opinions and different interpretations of new iterations of the franchise. But I don't think that passion should be dismissed if someone's very passionate about Fallout 3 or someone's passionate about Fallout 1 or New Vegas 4, maybe, what have you. Another post highlights his thoughts on the change for the series. A fan discusses how he is very passionate about the games that Bethesda Game Studios creates, and Jon says this: "Change can be good. A stagnant series is a series that dies. I hate when I see people say that they wish sequels were never made, as if a new game ruins an old game somehow. They are different experiences made by different people at a different time." While the answer isn't large, there's a lot to take away from this if you look deeper at what a video game really is. It's an art form, and art is created by emotion, so what you're feeling at the time usually channels into your creative energies. While the Fallout series has its demons now, I do agree that if it remains stagnant, if it remains in place, like if we carried over the same gameplay from 3 in New Vegas into 4, that would have been a major complaint for the franchise that it has not aged well. Now, those gameplay changes did sacrifice the role-playing that Fallout fans value. And the Fallout franchise, as you've noticed with 3, 4, and now what we've heard about 76, and if you look at how they originated, there have been some very drastic changes to this series, and that's a big part of the reason why it has lived on. It's almost like a team contribution. Black Isle got the ball rolling, then it passed on to Bethesda. Bethesda really made it popular with Fallout 3. Then New Vegas created arguably the definitive Fallout, and then Bethesda tried to carry it a step forward in a different direction with a voice protagonist, rebuilding the wasteland, and all these different takes on them bring in different fans and different opinions. The last comment I want to highlight from Jon is in response to a little debate he got into with a fan of the Fallout franchise. He says, "My point is that no game will please everyone. It does not matter what game is made, it will disappoint someone on some level. That's true for any game, but especially a franchised game, aka the Fallout series. Your opinion is important, but catering the game to what you want will only cause someone else to complain if you want my perspective on this as a developer who worked on 2 very differently perceived Fallout games. When we shipped New Vegas, we got a lot of criticism from huge fans of Fallout 3 that it wasn't as good as Fallout 3 for various reasons. Other people loved the changes that were made, the story, the systems, etc. Other people were disappointed we did not nod more to Fallout 1 and 2 considering we had a lot of the original devs working on it. I personally got a lot of hate messages regarding New Vegas. The same was true for Fallout 4. Some people loved the changes that were made, others hated it. Still, others modded the game to be what they wanted. How do you reconcile these? Do you ignore one group? Is one group more right than the other? Neither group is more right. It's subjective and opinion based. Believe me when I say this is something that is discussed at some level for every game. My personal opinion is that I love certain aspects of all the games, but I would not want a new Fallout 1 or 2. I've already played them 100 times. Again, my personal opinion has no weight as to what gets made or does not. I do not even work there anymore, and when I did, I was not in a position of that level of decision-making power by any means. I'm just an engineer. Now that is a loaded response that gives us a lot to think about. This is arguably the most debated topic in the Fallout franchise. Do they go back to the traditional role-playing? Do they keep trying to make changes? Where do they go from here? And I think Jon does make a good point that yes, going forward with the franchise, you want to have some drastic changes to make it continuously feel fresh. But I also think there always has to be that strand of DNA that reminds you what series you're playing. And in many ways, when we look at, for example, Fallout 4, we don't see that strand of DNA that constantly reminds us we're playing a Fallout game because often it finds itself being a looter shooter. I personally enjoyed Fallout 4 for its world, the exploration, the locations, and the gameplay. But that's not why I play other Fallout games where I'm there for story, choices, which I'd say are most prominent in Fallout 1 and 2, where 3 and New Vegas sort of serve as hybrids, New Vegas favoring more choice, and 3 just pretty much being the original building block. It is, of course, very difficult to please everybody. Everyone knows that. It is especially hard to please everybody in a franchise that just became Bethesda's best-selling game of all time. And that's not to make excuses. I think that everyone should be considered. But what Jon, I think, is trying to say is if every developer focuses on one group of people far too much, like everyone who wants role-playing, and ignores everybody who wants the game to continue evolving, maybe an online component, they're pissing someone off no matter what happens. So that's why you've seen a trend with developers lately as social media has become more popular and integrated into game marketing that they just say, we make something fun that we want to play, and hopefully people want to play it too. Because that pretty much is what lets you sleep at night, since you don't have to worry about, yeah, I ignored one group or another, I could have done something about it. You just tried your best at making something fun and enjoyable and immersive. Pretty much the goal of this video and covering Jon's words and me offering my own opinion is, I'm sure there's things I said in this video you disagreed with. I'm sure there are things I said in this video that maybe you did agree with, but that's what Fallout fans are and people in general. We have different opinions on different games and value different things as different people. And I think Jon was able to highlight a lot of that in his conversations with fans. So considering we haven't seen anything for Fallout 76 aside from a tiny teaser trailer, I'm not in hype overload for this game, but as a Fallout fan, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing whatever this game is, and I'm going to approach it expecting it to be something very different from what we saw in Fallout 4. Time will tell. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this conversation in the comments down below. Please fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.